Morning everybody children, welcome to biology session. Today's topics are epiglottis, mechanism of respiration, and gaseous exchange. Epiglottis. What is epiglottis children? It is a leaf-shaped flap of cartilage located behind the tongue. So if you see the diagram here, this is the epiglottis children. Second diagram, a small tongue, it is known as, this is the epiglottis. At the top of a larynx or voice box, the main function of epiglottis is to seal off the windpipe. When we are eating, epiglottis will seal the windpipe so that it will never allow air to go inside the trachea, so that the food is not accidentally inhaled. So the food should not enter into the windpipe, so the epiglottis will close respiratory pipe, that is nothing but trachea. So from the nasal cavity the air goes into the pharynx. There is a tricky problem here. It's just nothing but epiglottis. It will manage as a channel. It is important that air goes into one and food into the other, right? So it is also important that food does not enter the tube through which air goes into the lungs. So the traffic is kept properly channeled by the flap-like structure known as epiglottis only, which protects the tube to the lungs, arresting food entry. In this way, epiglottis will help us. And this is guarded by a nervous system. Nervous regulation is important in guiding the function of epiglottis and passage of food and air, and that nerve is known as phrenic nerve. So from brain it is connected. It is known as phrenic nerve. So now let's do an activity. Before that, I would like to show you. So in the first diagram you can see the respiratory tract, two pipes. So one is windpipe. So where you can see the trachea, there you can see the windpipe. And here in the second diagram, ingestion, there is esophagus over there, children. So in that food goes. So when the food is entering into the esophagus, epiglottis will block the passage of trachea, respiratory pipe. In this way, epiglottis helps us. Coming to an activity, keep your palm around an inch away from the nose. Feel your breathing out. Do not remove it until you have finished the activity. Then what you will feel? You will be feeling you are breathing out in, right? So breathe out steadily for 1 to 2 minutes. After that, you take a small fruit or chew it, anything if you would like to have. You have chew, and before swallowing it, keep the finger of the other palm on your throat. Now swallow. So what did you notice? What happens to your breath as you try to swallow it? So you will notice that you will not breathe while you are swallowing the food. Exactly. While we are swallowing the food, the epiglottis will block the trachea. It will not allow air to pass into trachea because it is making way clear for the food to go inside esophagus, and it will also protect the trachea and food, that it should not mix up with other pipe. Food should go in esophagus only. Air should go in trachea only. So in this way it will guard. When you swallow, a flap called epiglottis moves to block the entrance of food particle into your larynx and lungs. The muscles of a larynx pull upward to assist with this movement. They also tightly close during swallowing. That prevents food from entering your lungs through trachea. Nasal cavity, nostril, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, lungs. So in this way the respiratory tract runs, right? Yes. Coming to the mechanism of respiration, how the mechanism takes place. Mechanism of respiration in man takes place in two phases, children. One is inspiration, that is nothing but inhalation, and another one is expiration, that is nothing but exhalation. So inspiration is the process of inhaling air into the lungs. So during inspiration, what happens? The muscles. So you have diaphragm here. Beneath the rib cage, you have a diaphragm. During inspiration, the muscles of diaphragm contract and the diaphragm moves downward. While during expiration, the muscles of diaphragm relax and the diaphragm moves upright. Okay? Yes. So the chest wall is made up of ribs, children, muscles and skin. The ribs are attached at an angle to the spine. When we inhale, the chest wall moves up and expand. This causes an increase in the volume of a chest cavity. So here you can see diaphragm as a floor and chest cavity as a room. So when diaphragm is relaxed, when we breathe out, it is in a shape of a dome with a convex side of a dome extending into the chest cavity. When the diaphragm contracts during inhalation, it flattens out a bit or a dome moves downward. As a result, the volume of a chest cavity is increased, children. Clear? So you have to remember one thing, that when the diaphragm flattens, the volume of a chest cavity is increased. Its internal pressure decreases and the air from the outside rushes into the lungs, and this is known as inspiration. We are doing inhalation. Next, the reverse direction will be exhalation. What happens in exhalation? The chest wall is lowered and moves inward, and the diaphragm relaxes and assumes its dome shape. These changes increase the pressure on the lungs. Their elastic tissue contracts and squeezes the air out through the nose to the external atmosphere. That is nothing but expiration or exhalation. Clear? So in this way, mechanism of respiration depends on the movement of ribs and diaphragm position, how the diaphragm is. During inhalation, what will be the position of diaphragm? During exhalation, what will be the position of diaphragm? So in this way, you can know the mechanism of diaphragm. And here also I have inserted one video to know what is diaphragm exactly. So the yellow color part which you are seeing is diaphragm. It contracts and relaxation happens when you are inhaling and exhaling. So where does the extra amount of gas come from in our body, children? So when you are eating food and all, definitely all the food will not be digested, right? So the undigested food is also there. So that will produce other extra gases that will gases. That is the reason we are inhaling 0.04% of carbon dioxide, whereas we are exhaling 4.4% of carbon dioxide, which is more than we inhale, right? It is due to we are developing gas due to undigested food. One of the interesting point is our lungs are spongy in nature, children. So they do not have the same size. Left lung is narrow because it is giving space for the heart, and right lung is wider and shorter because it is giving space for the liver. And lungs are protected by two membranes called as pleura. The fluid filled between these membranes protects the lungs from injury and also aid in the expansion of the spongy and elastic lung muscle as they slide one over the other. So when you see the yellow color part, that is nothing but pleura. It is the membrane of the lung. Coming to gaseous exchange, children. Gaseous exchange takes place within the lungs by diffusion from the alveoli to blood capillaries and vice versa. See, the carbon dioxide in the blood is exchanged for oxygen in the alveoli. These are the tiny air sacs in the lungs, which are present numerously in the lungs, these alveoli. Okay, so each alveoli is surrounded by blood capillaries, children, that are also only one cell thick. So the blood, dark red in color, flows from the heart through these capillaries and collect oxygen from the alveoli. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes out of the capillaries and into the alveoli. That means gaseous exchange is taking place. Blood is giving carbon dioxide to alveoli, and alveoli will send the carbon dioxide out through expiration. And oxygen is collected by blood capillaries through alveoli through inspiration. And this blood will go and supply oxygen to the heart, and heart will pump the blood to all parts of the body. So the bright red oxygen rich blood is returned to the heart and pumped out to all parts of the body, children. In this way gaseous exchange takes place. So see here, nitrogen 78% we will inhale and also exhale 78% of nitrogen. Oxygen 21% we will take and 16% is exhaled. Carbon dioxide 0.04% we will take, but we will exhale 4.4% or 4% more than we inhale, right? So why does the amount of oxygen vary between exhaled and inhaled air? We are taking more oxygen. At the same time, we are exhaling less oxygen. How? Because the amount of the oxygen can be seen as a decreased when compared to the inhaled, because the lungs absorb oxygen and it sends to the bloodstream. So through the blood it goes to the heart, and heart pumps the blood to all parts of the body which is carrying oxygen, the blood which is carrying oxygen. That's it, children. And one more point you have here. The total lung capacity of human being is nearly 5800 ml. Normally at rest, who inhale or exhale approximately 500 ml of air, and 1200 ml of air remains in lungs after complete exhalation. Also see, you have air in your body, in your lungs. That's great, right? Yes. So this is the end of the class, children. I hope you understood the class. Coming to the assignment part. First question, what do you know about diaphragm? Write about the inhalation, exhalation. Write about when it goes upright and when it goes down. Write about when it contracts and relaxes. So write a brief notes on gaseous exchange also. What is the importance of epiglottis in our body? Why does the amount of oxygen vary between exhaled and inhaled air? That also you write down. Thank you. Submit your assignment as soon as possible. Thank you.